All right. Protein. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, yeah.
We're jumping right in.
Yum.
Discuss one of our foundations, one of our 5 foundations. So we're going to try to go through these kind of one at a time. We've talked a lot about them. Protein, fruits, vegetables, eating at home, and drinking water. So today we're just going to give a quick recap of protein, how to do it, how to incorporate it into your diet, why it's so important, and we'll go from there. So first, a lot of who we work with are females, women. So apparently not all of them are carnivores like myself and I believe Josh to be.
Yeah, I'd say let's go eat a steak, and
Yeah.
I get some looks.
Protein is probably the easiest thing in our foundation for me to consume over fruits, vegetables, water, you name it. I'm not having a meal without protein.
Right, me neither.
So it's easy. Tina, what about you?
I like meat. However, it is not something that I'm going to go overboard on in a meal. So like a 4 to 6 ounce chicken breast is just the right amount for me. And that's a good serving size. I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm not going to eat multiple of those per day. And a lot of the moms that I work with, one of the biggest struggles that we've worked through the nutrition wise is just making sure that we're eating enough protein. And so, wanted to give you guys today ways to make sure that there's an easy way to include protein in all of your meals, all of your snacks, and probably start us off really with why it's so important. And I don't know if our nutrition wizard wants to help us out with that. Like, why is it so important? Why is protein I don't know. I always think of it as like kind of the star of the show, the star of the meal, right? Like it should be like the biggest, one of the biggest parts of a balanced plate.
So I try to keep it simple. I mean, we could nerd out on the whole science end of it, but usually I go simple. 2 things. It helps keep us fuller longer, and it helps build and maintain muscle. That's as simple. I just try to break it down right there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody really gives a shit about anything more than that.
No, I don't. And the simpler, the better. And just keeping in mind when you're building that balanced plate, again, it's keeping you fuller longer. So that's another big complaint when people are starting to focus on their nutrition. Like, feels like I'm always hungry. Well, it's probably because maybe you're under eating protein, right? So I think the simple part is good. And then, so with, giving somebody like a starting point for their protein, like what's the easiest way for someone to look at their nutrition and be like, am I getting enough protein?
So keeping it simple, kind of my rule of thumb is every meal and snack that we have throughout the day, there needs to be some kind of protein. Regardless of amount, we start with, if I look at their food log and they don't have protein at every meal and snack, then it's not enough.
I agree. And that's the same strategy I use. Look at your plate. Tell me what your protein source is. It starts with being as simple as that. Anything?
Yeah, nope. I would agree. I would probably, depending on how much protein they'll eat at a meal, like for me, I know my meals are getting the protein I need, so I do deviate from just protein for my snacks. Like fruit is going to be one of my snacks a lot of times, so I won't necessarily have, or it might just be fruit, and like string cheese could be a snack of mine. So sometimes my snacks come in a little low, but I promise you, rest assured, I'm getting my protein intake in every other meal of the day. So if you know that you're getting it in, but like I said, we're talking about deficiency, so that's a pretty good place to
And
start.
I think a lot of times with ladies,
Yeah.
like Tina said, she's not going to have the 12-ounce ribeye. So we found that supplementing and spreading it out throughout the day helps.
Yeah, and especially like any women that I've worked with, and we talk about serving size and stuff. We try not to get into too much measuring, but when we do have people measure, they're usually coming in that, wow, I thought that was bigger than 3 ounces, or my turkey sandwich. Oh, I put so much. I always put a lot of turkey on there. Okay, well, until they weigh it and they're like, oh shit, there's only 2 ounces. I need 4. So then it's almost overwhelming sometimes.
It is.
That I have to put this massive amount of turkey on my sandwich.
And I know you don't want to spend every moment of your day measuring out protein, but I don't think it's a bad idea, and this is just me personally, I don't think it's a bad idea if you've never done it to just give it a try. Like Jeff said, like, you don't know, you might just be guesstimating, and that guesstimating could just be putting you completely off of reaching like that, just even the first goal of how much protein you should be getting in a day. So it's more educational. You don't have to look at it as restrictive. It's, am I getting enough, and what does it look like? Once you know what it looks like, then you're going to be educated, and you don't need to measure it out ever again, right? Like if you,
And I know you're a big fan of the food scale.
I use it as a tool. I just use it as a tool. It's not restrictive. I'm not using it to micromanage my nutrition. I'm using it to make sure like I'm one to say, am I getting enough of the good stuff? Mm-hmm. And to me, protein is one that if I'm not watching it, it could not be enough, because I might just be like, oh, I think that's about right. And then I'm like, I'm off. And then now I'm like wondering why certain things aren't happening. And now I have some data to back it up with. And it's like I said, it's just education, but it doesn't have to be, I have to do it down to the gram every single day. It's just to get you started if you've never done it.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely worth a check just to, like I said, the last thing we want, the hardest thing when somebody comes in and talks about nutrition is they say these words, I think, I'm pretty sure. Okay, that means you actually don't know anything, because you don't, unless you specifically say, I know I get this much in, that's useful data. Saying I think I get enough protein, or I think I do that, is really pretty useless when it comes to trying to help people, help fix their nutrition, because I think is not an answer. I don't know about you guys, or if anybody's ever told you those words.
Yes. Usually if someone's like, I think it's pretty good, that's a sign that it's usually not that great.
Yeah. Or you really just have no idea.
Yeah.
Like the food could be good, it could be terrible. That doesn't give us any indicator of you're doing well or not doing well. Saying I ate 6 ounces of chicken for lunch, I ate 6 ounces of chicken for dinner. Okay, cool. I know exactly what that means. So knowing exactly what you're talking about just makes things a whole lot easier.
So if somebody doesn't like chicken or pork or steak or whatever, like there's lots of other foods that contain high amounts of protein, like beans,
Sure.
chickpeas. We were talking about this earlier. What are some other food sources that I use, like edamame beans? I do the crunchy ones as a snack, but just like, what are some other ideas that you guys have for people who are just like, I don't love meat?
So my favorite one that we incorporate a lot is chickpea pasta. So using chickpea noodles, chickpea rice, whatever it is, one serving of that usually has. Didn't
you have too much of one time and it?
That was
that was a high
fiber. Oh, that was a high fiber. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
never mind.
Don't buy the high fiber, especially if you eat like 2 servings like myself. It will wreck your stomach.
Fiber is important.
Fiber's good,
but you don't have to do
need
that.
Your whole serving in one shot.
I couldn't remember what it was.
It was fiber.
It's fiber. Okay, yeah. So high protein pastas.
Yeah, so chickpea pasta, like you said, one serving of that, I believe, has like 20 to 25 grams of protein. So just as much of it as a chicken breast.
You could have a pasta meal that doesn't actually have to have a meat protein source in it, because you're going to get it from your pasta.
Yeah. And those look just like pasta. So like if you're trying to get your kids and other people in the family to eat it as well, that's one that you can slide in, or it can just be a half serving of chickpea pasta, serving of regular pasta. Or we like to mix in cauliflower rice when we do chickpea rice. We also put in cauliflower rice, so that way
then you're getting a
veggie mixed in with it, and it tames it down a little bit, so that way and like I said, it looks just like rice or noodles, so to get kids to eat it and stuff is good. We also like edamame noodles.
I tried those, but I heard they're good.
So they have I think they have the same texture as like spaghetti and stuff.
We like them.
The only problem is they look green. So you're not going to slide those past your kids. They're going to say, what the fuck? My 4 and 6-year-old said exactly that. Just kidding. I could see it on their face, though. That's what they're thinking.
That was exactly what they were thinking.
That's exactly what they're thinking.
I like to drink a protein shake every day. It fills in the gaps for protein for me. There's ready-made shakes. You can make your own. I usually put a serving of fruit in mine, so it checks a lot of boxes for me throughout my day. It's got good stuff in it. There's protein bars. You can make different kinds of protein snacks homemade and just fill it up with good stuff. So again, it's kind of a not one size fits all. It's going to be a trial and error finding the things you like, because I can tell you from experience with nutrition, if you're trying to find a protein source that tastes like a Snickers and you eat it and it's not a Snickers, you're going to go eat a Snickers. You might eat 2 Snickers.
Yeah.
So maybe you're better off eating a real Snickers with a side of some sort of protein so that you can actually enjoy what you're eating, versus trying to get it to taste like something it doesn't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like protein ice cream. Ugh, I don't know. I've never found one that I've been like, oh, wow, that really tastes really yummy. I just want some real ice cream when I'm done with it.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I would rather just have a little
Wash
bit
it
of
down
real
with
stuff.
a glass of milk.
Have the real stuff. And really, most protein bars, you just have to be so mindful. Like, yeah, those are like they can be good, but they can also be just loaded with sugar. Mm-hmm. You may as well have a Snickers. Some of them, I think, probably have just as much sugar as a Snickers bar. So the only difference is the amount of protein in it.
Right.
And a lot of just synthetic ingredients. So that's just, personal opinion. If you're, I'm not going to tell you should or shouldn't. Personal opinion on mine is the less synthetic stuff I have, the better.
Sure.
But that's not like a golden rule that we follow here. But
So one thing that we've done recently is we've kind of gotten on the TikTok trend of putting cottage cheese and stuff. And I'll be the first one to tell you I am not a fan of cottage cheese. But if it's blended in, like we've started doing in our eggs, and they're really good. The eggs are light and fluffy. Mm-hmm. Michelle will do that when she's like prepping the kids' eggs for the week. Mm-hmm. They go great in the fridge. They'll freeze really well. Little cupcakes or making sandwiches out of them. And, you're getting extra protein in each one on top, and it's low calorie, low fat.
High protein.
High protein.
Yes.
yeah. So speaking of eggs, that's one. Eggs and peanut butter, I think, people overestimate how much protein those two items pack. Mm-hmm. And like one egg might have I think 4 grams of protein, 4 or 5. So
mm-hmm.
in your target to shoot for like 20 to 25 grams of protein for a meal, or to like one chicken breast is going to have like 20 grams of protein at least,
Right.
for just 4 to 5 ounces. So to equal that with eggs, like you got to be ready to eat 5 or 6 eggs,
And then your
4 to
fat's
5,
getting
6
up
eggs.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, don't call that a protein. That's more of a healthy fat source.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with peanut butter. Like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter does not have that much protein. It's a couple grams.
6 or 7 grams of protein for 2
Yeah.
tablespoons. And peanut butter is a measurable offense for me. I don't mean to call it an offense, but I do measure out my peanut butter because it's very easy for me to overestimate how much peanut butter I'm using.
More than once standing on top of
It's
the jar,
delicious.
shoveling.
So, but again, think of those as your healthy fats. Don't think of those as your healthy, like your protein sources. So when you add cottage cheese, what does that add to the protein content? If you add that to
A
eggs?
half a cup is going to add about 10 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so if you
Now
add
you're
that
up to
eggs,
20.
Now it's much easier to get to that 20 grams of protein.
But that same, what is
Without
it,
having to
70
eat
calories
half
in
the
that half
Yeah,
a cup?
it's not.
and low fat. So
I wouldn't even worry about it. It's just
Right.
I do the cottage. I jumped on the bandwagon, not from TikTok though. I'm not cool enough to be on TikTok.
I have teenagers, so I.
But yeah, I'm doing the cottage cheese in it. I usually do about a half a cup with 2 eggs, and it doubles my protein. It's delicious. Like Josh said, I don't know. Have you tried it?
We
It's
have
really good.
I don't know if we've tried it or not. Deanna, to be honest, does most of our cooking.
She's probably been sneaking it in there. And
She
you don't-
might.
She might.
sneak it
I
in
don't
there.
love cottage cheese. Like I'm not going to eat cottage cheese,
No.
but I can blend it. I think I can blend it in just about anything.
Whenever I eat eggs, I actually do eat 5. So I'm still actually getting my protein. I'm not a good example of what I was just saying.
Because you actually will eat that many eggs.
I'll eat 5 eggs at a time. So I'm still getting my 20 to 25 grams of protein in that meal, along with generally something else too, some other form of protein as well. So, what other items where else can people kind of go be misguided with protein? Anywhere else that you feel like people overestimate? Your leanest versions are going to be like turkey and chicken and fish, those are going to be pretty much straight protein. That's all they are really, versus steak's going to be a little bit more fatty, and a couple of fish like salmon's going to be a little bit more fatty too, but that's okay. Like you still want, it's not that fat's bad, but we're just talking protein today. But if anybody has any questions about protein, or we'd just like to hear if anybody has any other areas that they're, that makes it easier to get protein in, that's not just a meat source, we'd love to hear what people are doing. But that's, what we went over today is a pretty good rundown, and hopefully it gives you some good options or some new options to think about. Yeah, and we talked about protein today as being an important part of our balanced meal. We're going to go over the rest of the nutrition foundations, but just because it's an important part of it, it's not the only part of it. So just always emphasizing a balanced plate with our other nutrients as well, because sometimes I know protein can get really used as like, oh, I'm really focusing on my protein. That's all I worry about eating. Like, let's make sure we're including the other food groups in there as well. But protein is very, very important. And just, I'm sure somebody's going to ask, how much protein should I get? Generally speaking, 25% of your daily intake of all your calories should come from protein, roughly. I usually say 20 to 30%. That usually falls at 25.
I would agree.
All right. Well, let us know about your protein intake.